What's a life skill everyone should know by the time they're 30? Story 1. How to walk away from a situation with escalating tensions. Some guy is getting angrier and angrier for any reason. You need to know how to just raise your hands up, apologize genuinely, back away about 6 feet, and then turn around and walk away. This can save you from getting into a fist fight to saying something you can't ever take back. You can use this with random people on the street, at bars, or even with friends and family that you might get into it with. If you want to learn more about de-escalating a tense situation, check out Verbal Judo. Story 2-1. Basic home maintenance. Learn how to change a vacuum belt, fix a door hinge, hang curtains, blinds, unclog a drain, etc. 2. Basic car maintenance. Learn how to change a tire, change a car light bulb, change your oil, etc. 3. Cooking, not just microwaving something or making a hamburger helper meal. Actual cooking from scratch. 4. How to have a disagreement with an argument. Disagreements to not need to involve yelling or verbally attacking the other person. Get your facts together and present your side logically. 5. How to speak professionally. When you have to talk to professional people, like a landlord, banker, maintenance worker, or your boss, it's always extremely beneficial to use sir, ma'am, and avoid cussing or using words that are too casual, like bro or dude. If you go into these discussions speaking professionally yourself, they will respect you more and be more willing to listen to you. 6. Know your own habits. Pro tip, tidy your house up before you sit down and relax after work. I have a bad habit where if I sit down to relax after work, I don't want to get back up and do anything that feels like more work. And so I have gotten a routine to work around it. So when I get home from work, the first thing I do is a quick tidying up of my house before I let myself sit down and relax. Story 3. Honestly, everyone should know how to budget by the time they're 30. I once treated myself to takeout every night for a month because I forgot I had bills to pay. Spoiler, I ended up living off instant noodles and regret. If you can master the art of not blowing your entire paycheck on snacks and impulse buys, you're basically a financial wizard. Story 4. As a chef, I've got to go with basic food hygiene. Learning how to store your food properly, knowing temperature danger zones, cross-contamination, and basic kosh. The amount of times I've had to bite my tongue seeing piss-poor standards in friends' and family's kitchens makes me anxious to eat there. Story 5. Self-sufficiency. It's great to have help and all, but by the time you're 30, you really should be capable of being self-sufficient. Cooking, cleaning, basic hygiene, manners, etc. You're almost halfway through an average human lifespan depending on where you live. If you're not able to take care of yourself by then, you need to start. Everyone grows old and dies, some sooner than others. That safety net you're so comfortable in won't last forever in the majority of cases. Story 6. How to stay out of debt, leverage it. Financial literacy. Ideally, it should be earlier than 30, but in my experience, at a certain point after 30, if you have no financial plan or understanding of how much debt you should have or what debt is considered good or bad, most people I talk to past 30 are panicking about their finances or feel they're significantly behind. And most people go their whole lives not knowing how to manage their finances to a point where they have a solid savings. Story 7. How to cook at least a few different complete meals, notwithstanding a heap of sides. If you can't cook an actual meal by 30, your parents have failed you. And you've even more so failed yourself. Just saying you can't cook is a weak AF move. To say you are incompetent at following a recipe, you're a liability in this world. Story 8. Changing a tire. There won't always be someone around to do it for you, and sometimes you might have all the necessary tools to do so, but have no idea how to apply them. It's not hard at all, and can save you money if you can just do it yourself. Story 9. How to cook and keep your living space clean. Taxes without tax prep software, and at least being aware of income expenses of your house. Basic health maintenance. All these things make life a lot easier as you get older, and it becomes clear who does and doesn't have these skills. Story 10. How to take care of a home living space. Seems basic, but way too many adults have no idea how to clean, cook, do laundry, etc. I was at a party a week or so ago. Someone spilled their drink and we tossed him a roll of paper towels. Y'all will not believe how badly this fully grown adult struggled to wipe up a spill. We joked and asked if he would prefer a mop. He then admitted that he had no idea how to use a mop either. Story 11. You should have a stable job or be somewhere in the midst of a career. Physical and mental health should be in check, as most diseases are diagnosed in adolescence or early adulthood. Yes, there are exceptions. You should be able to realize your own intelligence and ignorance and admit when you're wrong. Have a grasp of who you are and have your own opinions. Story 12. Maximize your retirement accounts with everything you possibly can. In the U.S., that means 401k and IRA accounts. Invest the money in a broad, low-cost index fund such as VT, VTI, or VOO. By the time you're 30, You will have been working for a while and gotten some promotions or raises, and you should try hard to not inflate your lifestyle with those raises and instead invest for the future. Story 13. Time management. If you want lunch for work, get up earlier and don't have your parents make it for you every morning. If you have a meeting with your friends, be on time. If you don't know how to handle your time, don't make plans with others. I used to be late by 10 minutes constantly as a teen, but I've managed to be at the set place at the set time if trains don't get canceled. And it's just more polite this way. If you're too early, bring a book. Story 14. Cooking. IMO. By the time you're 30, you should be able to make enough different meals to fill 2 weeks of different menus so as not to suffer from food boredom. Also, there are so many shorts, showing how to make nearly anything one could possibly want to eat that anyone saying they cannot cook is actively making this a true statement. Story 15. How to cook and clean a house, do laundry, buy food, pay bills on time, balance a budget, know the difference between need and want. Stay out of debt except for things that will advance you professionally to make money. Know the difference between spendthrifts and misers will serve you well in picking friends and a partner. If you can do those things, you have a chance at survival. Story 16. Probably knowing where your breakers and gas shut-off are, as well as water shut-off. Changing a tire, checking oil and other fluids in your vehicle at normal intervals to prevent your engine from seizing. Cooking is a good one. I've known a lot of people that didn't know how to cook. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a good half-dozen go-to meals you can prepare quickly. Simple mending of clothes in a pinch. I had neighbors that didn't know how to iron their clothes. Since I was in the military, they would constantly ask me to help them. As a Native American, how to care for your long hair properly. I was surprised at how many people actually put their silverware upside down in a dishwasher. How to fold a fitted sheet. I've known nurses that didn't know that hydrogen peroxide got blood stains out of anything instantly. Even carpets. Pouring vinegar in your toilet tank every once in a while kills the bacteria inside. Doesn't take much, just a cup or two. Saving your citrus peels or your garbage disposal. The ascorbic acid kills bacteria and makes it smell wonderful. Knowing at least 2 knots for a tie. How to get nasty sweat stains out of collared shirts. I've seen that one a lot at work before. How to take care of your mental health without fear of stigma. Confidence to navigate new situations without fear or anxiety seizing you up. Learning that you don't have to put up with toxic people in your life, whether they be friends or family. Cast iron pans are not sacred relics. Use them. They came from your great-great-grandma. Trust me, they'll survive a little soap and water. Lye is no longer used in soap. There's plenty of things. Some may not apply to everyone. I'd like to see what other people have to add. I guess it just comes down to the ability to learn something new, as needed. Story 17. How to drive a manual transmission car. Yes, I know the world's going electric and most cars are automatic, but believe me, you'll thank me especially when you're traveling. You want to have the ability to be able to drive any sort of vehicle just in case. I've traveled and every rental has been a manual transmission car. Also, they're hella fun to drive. Story 18. I am baffled by men my age 38 who have very little troubleshooting skills or none at all. Maybe it came from growing up poor. I can do anything I feel like. General house repairs, electric, plumbing, car engines, radios, computers. I'll have work conversations and people are more clueless about general troubleshooting more often than not. Repairing holes in walls from mounting TVs, mechanic work, computers, setting up home devices, mounting shelves or TVs. I find it strange and people making my same pay even weirder. I can't afford a mechanic for my alternator, radiator, etc. I can, but limiting my other bills, it just doesn't make sense too. Story 19. Basic social skills. If your friend buys you a birthday present, you get something too. Doesn't need to be expensive. Just to show you remembered, make a card and get a chocolate bar if you can't think of anything else. Pay back debts on time too and don't make people remind you. Be on time. Well, like 5 minutes don't matter. And sometimes car breaks down, but in general, keep a good hygiene and clean your house. Know what dress code is and don't make noise where you live. Now, these things are ones that a teen should know, but 30 is when nobody will have patience for this anymore. You can't excuse these things by being young and cute and broke anymore. People will cut you out if you never learn and appear inconsiderate and rude. Some actually just never learn. Story 20. Basic retirement investing. Time is the biggest asset you have. At the minimum, contribute enough to get the company match. If you are working somewhere that offer a 401k BO, open a Roth IRA and make whatever contribution you can, even if it's $50 per month. Increase your contributions as your income increases. Invest 10%, 15% automatically so you don't miss it. And invest in low-cost funds that follow the S&P. Biggest thing to remember, do not withdraw the funds unless it's truly dire, like a medical emergency. Story 21. How to take accountability in every aspect of your life. I see too many people of all ages refusing to account for their part in negative moments. One of the most basic examples of this is in traffic. If you miss your exit, slamming on your brakes to merge from the left lane over, U.S. driving example, will make everyone behind you pay the consequences of your actions, but not you. I have seen this in business way too often. Story 22. Decision-making. Use your 20s to improve your decision-making ability because it's a skill, and it can be improved through reflection on past decisions and gathering info for new decisions, because that's what it usually comes down to in life with almost everything. People who make good decisions most of the time will typically have a better life. That's people who make bad decisions most of the time, regardless of starting point. Story 23. CPR. Even if it's compression only. If someone you love ever goes down, you don't have to wait for medics to show up. You can start on CPR while someone or yourself calls 911. Those extra minutes could be life-saving. It obviously doesn't happen every day, but it's still nice to have that knowledge of what to do. Story 24. How to set boundaries confidently and respectfully. Whether it's with work, family, or friends, the ability to say no when you need to protect your time, energy, or values is foundational to personal well-being and healthy relationships. You should never feel disrespected in personal and professional interactions. It's better to learn this earlier. Story 25. How to use forgiveness to resolve issues, both with others and with yourself. The ability to forgive yourself will massively improve your mental state. Also, basic life skills. How to live cordially with another person. How to really clean a room. How to cook a few good, decent, full meals. How to do maintenance and minor repairs on home and cars. How to handle finances. Story 26. If you're physically able to develop a decent running ability. I'm not talking like 5 kilometers in 15 minutes or anything like that, but just be able to run at a decent pace for a good 1 kilometer or so without stopping. Many times I've had to run outside of normal exercise for reasons ranging from running to catch a train to running away from muggers. Story 27. How to use basic tools. You'd think this was a female problem, but I find that these days there are tons of men who can't disassemble something and put it back together. Every adult should know how to use a ratchet socket set. By 30, you should have a little toolkit with screwdrivers, pliers, wrenches, superglue, and other miscellaneous tools. Why? Because WTF do you do when the leg on your $1,000 dining room table gets loose? Are you really still assembling furniture with the little IKEA Allen wrenches? When you move apartments, it's a lot easier if you disassemble bulky items first. You may have to remove the door on your fridge just to get it out of your new house. If you play any musical instruments or have other simple gadgets, you can service them yourself if you just own a few basic tools. You don't need to be Bob the Builder or anything, but it blows my mind when adults don't have the tools or the knowledge to maintain their own environment. If the handle on your kitchen cabinet breaks, you should be able to fix it at age 30. Story 28. Investing and budgeting. So many of my friends, early 20s, don't invest. Not because they don't have the money, trust me they do, but because they're afraid. I'm not suggesting they get rich off of trading, but just putting excess cash to work. I'm 20 now and grew my TFSA by $2,500 off of an $11K deposit, which isn't a terrible amount. Story 29 is someone with the memory of a goldfish, labeling and storing stuff properly, scanning important documents, writing notes for yourself. I moved a lot in my 20s over multiple countries, and there are so many things to this day I still wonder where the hell they went. Valuable jewelry, photos, documents, where's my university degree, my birth certificate, even a whole ass camcorder and tapes from when I was a kid. No idea where they are because years passed before I thought to look for them. I know I left some boxes with exes, old friends, my mom, but I forgot what was inside those boxes. And then some people denied they had anything at all, and I'm pretty sure my brother threw out things I left with my mom. So I wish I'd written which things I left with who. You think you won't forget, but you do. And I've wasted too many hours pulling apart my room looking for that specific cord to that specific thing, or staring at a group of cords wondering WTF they're for, and if I should throw them away already. So I label cords as soon as they come with a new electronic. I also take pictures of every important letter I receive or send, and write notes to myself where I store things I don't use often. This has saved me some time and heartache, and I wish I'd started this in my 20s. Story 30. How to work long-term for something. It could be working a not fun job for a couple years to gain experience in a field, going back to school while working, being long distance a year or two because career paths go that way, etc. When you're in your 20s, you still want everything right away. This is why most people waste their college years partying and not getting a serious degree. Story 31, I heard this saying. Adults want to know things but don't want to put in the time to know them. I was learning basic French at the time, and it struck a chord. It wasn't even related to my French study. My family didn't know I was 2 weeks into Duolingo, learning how to say cat, dog, and goodbye. But since then, it has really changed how I look at things, and also changed how I value learning something versus farming it out to someone else. Can I learn how to, let's say, renovate a bathroom? Sure. Would I rather spend that time learning French, learning sewing machines, etc.? Absolutely. So, as you get older, it's one of those things where you start to recognize your limits and then assess, am I okay with this limit versus the time sink to get better at it? Story 32, DIY basics like minor electrical repair and plumbing. I felt bad about calling my friend who's a plumber to replace a hot water line that was in a hard-to-reach place because I didn't have the right tools and didn't want to buy them. And he said to me, "Don't worry, mate. I had a neurosurgeon call me out to ask how to turn off an outdoor water faucet." As in, he didn't know to try and turn the knob clockwise. Story 33, many. Cooking, cleaning, managing money, driving and maintaining a car, some first aid, how to use a fire extinguisher, basic house maintenance, e.g., dealing with leaky faucets, electrical painting, how to write a resume, interview, work cooperatively, effectively communicate, or written or oral presentation, use a computer and the standard office programs, and most importantly, how to learn, acquire new skills, adapt and add things to this list. Story 34, basic home repairs and maintenance. You should know how to turn off your water main. Really, you should know how and where to cut off water to each water source in your house. It's the difference between a $100 in water damage and a $200 repair versus $5,000 in water damage and a $200 repair. You should be able to hang frames by 30. I get if you don't have time and hire someone, but you should be able to do it. The last time I couldn't make it to my aunt's to put stuff up, she was charged $25 per hook. You can do it for $10 if you have to buy all the tools for your first time. It's pennies after that. Story 35. How to print a document. It's astonishing how many people are scared of printers or otherwise averse to using them. Failing that, how to ask nicely for someone to help you. Don't whistle at them like a dog and yell while smacking tables. And if you need more assistance, please don't shout, "I'm not a computer person, just do it for me," when asked what you need to print and how many pages you need. Phew, glad to have that off my chest. Lots of printing issues at work lately. Story 36. How to prepare for when you are 65. You already went through your 20s, blew countless money away on partying, drinking, and going out. If you haven't set up stocks, passive income, and saving a little money each month and never touch it again, you may be doing it wrong. Years fly by in a blink of an eye, and most people that live check by check that haven't looked into investing or savings are setting themselves up for a rude awakening if something goes wrong and run into financial problems. I'm amazed on how many people are in their 30s and college graduated and do not know a single thing about stocks, CDs, or 401ks. Story 37. How to do basic around the house. Simple wall repairs, simple plumbing, basic electric. Do not play with it if it makes you uncomfortable. How to diagnose common issues. How to safely use a ladder for things like gutter cleaning, painting and caulking, basic trim carpentry. I'm a residential carpenter, and some of the we get called out to fix is baffling to me. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars for us to come out for a few hours, plus material when common sense and a bit of elbow grease will take care of it. If you trying it up, sure call somebody, but at least watch a YouTube video and give it a shot. Edit a letter. Story 38. How to change the oil in your car. Over your lifetime, this will save you thousands and thousands of dollars. It takes like 15, 20 minutes if you're familiar with the process. For the quantity and cost of oil plus filter for me, I save $50, $60 doing it myself. Over a year, 4 oil changes normally. I drive a lot. That's a nice amount of money saved. And since it's cheaper, I can do it more often, leading to lower maintenance costs over time. I understand being in a situation where it's not possible, but if you have a driveway, there's no reason not to do it yourself. Story 39. One of the other most important things people should know by the time they reach 30 years includes learning about financial literacy, such as budgeting, saving, investing, and credit. Being financially literate can help one make better decisions on managing debt to a minimum and preparing for future goals for long-term stability and peace of mind. Story 41. Minor car maintenance. 2. Know how to fix basic stuff like light fixtures, installing appliances, knowing about electrical. Stuff that can save you money, but if you pay someone else to do it, they will try to screw you. 3. This is going to be out there, but knowing how to and what love is. That will save you a lot of time in relationships. Story 41. Grocery shopping for yourself, by yourself. How to open the door to the fridge. Take out the food, cook it your damn self. How to pick up your dirty clothes. Put them in a washing machine. Do your own F***seeking laundry. Clean your own damn house. how to take care of the kids you made, how to stand on your own 2 feet instead of looking for someone to be manipulated into giving you free labor, how to make an appointment to see a therapist. Story 42. How to cope. How to have difficult conversations without getting mad or running away. Emotional maturity is not only attractive, but also extremely useful. You can face a lot more situations head-on in life instead of having to keep putting it to the side forever. Story 43. Swapping a flat tire out for a spare, and learning to check on your spare's pressure anytime you're checking filling the rest of your tires. Last time I got a flat, AAA gave me like a 2-hour wait estimate. I groaned, hopped out, and had it swapped, and was on my way home by the time they called me back to confirm they had me in someone's queue. It's good to have roadside assistance available, but this is one of those things you need to learn to DIY too. Story 44. Knowing when to trust an expert. Story. New homeowner, and just ahead of being broke. I decide that to save money, I will install my own privacy fence. It takes me 2 months of nights and weekends, but I finally get it done. 4 months later, we have a significant windstorm, Texas, and my fence gets flattened. Insurance company pays the claim, but on the condition that I hire a real live fencing company. Fencing guy comes and tells me that the best thing is that I was so tight at fence building, he was going to be able to reuse most of my materials. That day I vowed to rely on experts. I am very good at the things I do, and I am well compensated for them. I am well compensated because I am recognized as an expert at what I do. I get frustrated in my work when I have to clean up after people who attempt to do my job and do it badly. Why then would I not trust other experts? Story 45. How to feed yourself properly, i.e. how to cook real ingredients with actual nutritional value. My personal opinion though, how to plan for the future. You'd be shocked how much 30-somethings barely think past the next 30 days, let alone the next 5, 10 years. If you can get future planning figured out by 30, you'll be drastically richer, happier, and more secure in your future than those who don't. Story 46. How to tie your shoes. Nobody wants to see a 30-something walking around with Velcro straps. Can you imagine hearing the sound of the Velcro separating as you climb into bed with your Tinder date, then realizing in horror you never once looked at their shoes the whole evening? I mean, the race car bed should have been a red flag too. Story 47. How to treat children like they matter. For many, this is natural. For many more, it's learned over time, but it requires a lot more than just having kids yourself. Those that never learn this demonstrate their lack of empathy and maturity. It's okay to not like kids. It is not okay to dismiss them as not important. They are people too. Story 48. Basic auto maintenance and what to monitor. So many people could save so much on expensive repairs if they would just pay attention and do it themselves. An air filter is about $15. Shops usually charge $70 plus to change them. A squeaky bearing and getting it fixed now saves a new wheel, shocks, axle, etc. later when that bearing fails at 70 miles per hour on the highway. Story 49. Presenting. Those little exercises in school where you present a project before a class of 30 or so kids, for a lot of people are the only time they had a chance to do public speaking. It was for me anyways. As an adult, as I take on professional roles for my career, I find myself stressing out about upcoming meetings that I'm conducting or presenting for, and it's a tough skill to learn later in life. Go to an open mic night, do karaoke, do something where you get comfortable in front of people if you're a person like me who primarily works isolated from people. Being able to communicate in front of people without being visibly anxious is important. Story 50. How to keep going. Treasures are lost, friends drift away, marriages break apart, loved ones die, dreams wither on the vine. You still have to get up and get dressed and go to work. The day I got all my homework done after getting dumped was the day I became a man. I'm not saying people shouldn't take time to recover when they suffer a blow. I'm just saying that eventually you're going to take a hit and you have to find the way you keep going. The things you thought were your purpose might not last. The payoff for time invested might not ever come. Each day should be justifiable in itself. Be kind, not because you expect a reward, but because being kind feels good. Take care of yourself, but don't assume you'll always be healthy. Work hard, but don't subjugate yourself to misery in hopes that you'll be rewarded. Be a good parent because good parenting makes you happy, not because you want your kids to make up for your missed opportunities. Centering yourself on each day will make you resilient to change and disappointment. Story 51. Having solved your food problem. You should only eat food that you love, that are good for you, that fit your budget, and that are easily accessible, whether you prepare them yourself or not. To you, you eat 3 times a day every day. I grew up poor AF. Preparing food was a way to save money. When I moved out on my own, I was still poor AF, so I continued and never stopped. These days, I am doing much better financially. I still prepare 99% of my foods, breakfasts, lunches, for the office, and dinners. Story 52. How to read and understand an explanation of benefits from your health insurance company. Deductible, copay, coinsurance, out-of-pocket maximum. And don't just assume that what you are being billed by your doctor matches what your insurance company says you owe. Often there are mistakes not in your favor. Story 53. How to cook for themselves. I'm 35, and the amount of people my age that I know who constantly order and eat out because they don't know how to cook for themselves is crazy. I'm not saying everyone should learn how to be a world-class chef, but every adult should know how to cook a meal for themselves. Story 54. How to cook at least some simple food. I suppose the math could math out to be cheaper for like a bachelorette, maybe even as a couple to eat out every night. But there's two things. One is the health aspect. If you're saving money going to McDonald's, that's gotten expensive lately, you're not getting the best nutrition. The second is you'll be subjective to their schedule. Forget it's a holiday and Thea closed, or maybe just down for repairs. Now you're driving around or going online to see who is open. Meanwhile, you could have just made food in the time it takes for you to scroll around. Story 55. What they aren't good at. Seriously, knowing where to stop investing your time and energy and call in for help or an expert. Many people either overestimate their capabilities or underestimate the difficulty of the skill. I think stuff like this make a U.S. appreciate blue-collar workers more. Story 56. One life skill everyone should know by 30 is how to manage personal finances. Understanding budgeting, saving, and investing can make a huge difference in your financial stability and future security. Plus, knowing how to negotiate your salary or discuss money matters can empower you in both personal and professional situations. It's like giving yourself a safety net for all of life's unexpected twists. Story 57. Self-sufficiency. Knowing what attributes make up a fully self-sufficient adult and what your own areas of weakness and self-sufficiency actually are. And the ability to communicate that and collaborate well with others on continuing to grow in your own self-sufficiency, healthily, in a team environment. Story 58. What I have learned is from 21, 29. Everyone is cocky. Everyone wants to live by their own rules, own taste, own decision, not to be told by anyone, ready to try and fail, either in job, ideas, companions, relationship. This could lead to great breakthrough, making their mark on this planet if channeled right. If not, they break themselves so hard, they spend rest of their life picking themselves up from lost health, wealth, companions wise, and start making compromises. 30 is a milestone or a checkpoint for few. I am 26, I'm realizing it already. Learn to keep the relationship, health, and save money for the great ideas you might bounce into at 30. Story 59. How to do basic troubleshooting for electronics/computers. I swear my generation is the only one that cares. Lots of people are too old and don't want to learn, and younger generation stuff is just so much more complicated than when we started learning that we got to grow up with a scale of difficulty and grow with it. Now things just work, and people don't want to bother to figure it out when they don't. Story 60. Cooking like how do you not even if you're not good at it? Aluminum trays, foil on top, bake anything for like 2 hours, and rice cooker will take you miles. The literal only steps are rice and water measured, push a button. Oven as high as it can go, 2 hours, you might overcook the food, but it's texture only. It is edible, and if covered well, it won't burn. Story 61. How to cook. My parents never taught me, and honestly, their cooking sucks, so I never had any interest. Did you know that vegetables don't have to be boiled into mush? How to clean. Tidy up as you go. Do the dishes daily. Take down the garbage once a week, sweep every week or every other week, etc. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself out cleaning your place, making you never want to clean. Story 62. If you're a renter, really basic home repair is important. I know everyone is all about the your landlord should do everything mentality, but getting every bit of your security deposit back is such a big help when it's time to move. My landlord has even given me discounts on rent for the materials occasionally because I'm saving him payroll money. Ask for the exact brand and color of the paint when you first move in. Text your landlord before touching outlets and light switches, of course. And for your own sanity, train your dog to not scratch at the door. Some of those things splinter really easily, and the whole door needs to be replaced before renting to the next person. Come to think of it, having a positive relationship with your landlord is really important in general, even if you don't like them. If you can both make compromises when it's reasonable, life will be easier. Story 63. How to find the information you need so you can solve any problem. The state of the internet is kinda these days as far as accessing real information, but it's still possible to find answers if you need to do something like cook a steak, change a tire, or snake your drain. There's also a thing called a library if you need more depth, managing your money, creating an exercise regimen, etc. 30 isn't very old. There are lots of things that you should know by 30 that maybe you've never had to try. There are tons of things that we learn in school that we might never have to put into practice. But knowing that the information is out there, that you could find it and apply it if you had to, is usually more valuable and achievable than knowing everything off the cuff. Story 64. Everyone listing things I feel like people should know by the age of 15, not 30. Conflict resolution, how to make a basic meal, clean. I mean, for Christ's sake, guys, the #1 answer is really learn how to do something you don't know how to do. Come on, we have the internet that's like basically all you need to know how to do anything. Story 65. How to cook, how to clean. Basically, any home duties should be taught early on. Other than that, kids should be taught how to take care of and maintain vehicles on their own. I would hate the idea of my daughters not able to handle their own oil change or brake change. It's okay to not be able to do an engine swap, but damn. Story 66. I'd suggest learning cars. I watch people lose thousands a year maintaining vehicles. Learn what brands and models are good and learn to fix them. Even bigger jobs like transmission and engine swaps can be done at home easily with cheap tools and YouTube videos. Story 67. Kitchen skills. If you can't handle a knife, utilize a basic set of pots and pans, or figure out a weekly meal list to do shopping at 30. Or really at any age, you're either really privileged or really broke from eating out all the time. Knowing basic kitchen skills translates into being able to meet your own basic needs. Lose that, and you lose the ability to live independently no matter your age. Story 68. How to do basic maintenance on your vehicle of choice. Whatever it is, bike or auto, they need to be maintained, and you can save a lot of time and money just doing it yourself. Know your limits, though. Oil changes and tire stuff should be standard, but not everyone needs to dive headfirst into the inside of their engine. Story 69. How to read manuals and make small repairs. For example, I have this $40 vacuum cleaner that works great but clogs easily. Some people would throw the vacuum away when it stops working, but it only takes 10 minutes to remove all the pet hair, and then it's as good as new. I've also fixed the belt that turns the brushes because it became unseated. It's all really simple if you take the time to inspect things. Next theme. What's the single most valuable lesson you learned from a relationship that didn't work out? Story 1. Here, I'll go first. I learned the importance of patience and timing. Sometimes, no matter how much two people care or love another, one person may not be ready to open themselves up fully. It taught me to respect someone else's journey, even if it doesn't align with my own timing, and that sometimes giving space is the most caring thing you can do. Story 2. Never stay with someone once you know you're not their first choice. You're just wasting your time. They won't start loving you more with time. They will bail on you as soon as they find someone better, assuming that better person wants to be with them, or they're just stupid and they dump you before they actually lock things in with the better person. Story 3. Empathy with no boundaries is self-destructive, which absolutely sucked to learn the hard way, but was a very important lesson. I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve and help people wherever I can because I care about them. But with some people there are limits, or you risk emotional burnout and worsening the mental health of everyone involved. Story 4. Here's another. If you're the only one giving, the only one compromising, the only one making the effort, you're not in a real relationship with them. You're in a relationship with an idea of who you hope they could be. You keep hoping desperately for change, adding more and more love until you're left with nothing but emptiness and bitterness and burnout. Story 5. You're choosing a partner in finance, maintenance, child rearing, home repair, travel, and love, hopefully for the rest of your life. You have to agree on fundamental things and trust each other with each other's well-being. If you can't see them sticking by you during 5 years of hospital stays and visits, then they're not your real partner. If you can't stick it out together through poverty or family tragedy, then they're not your real partner. The reason is because those things happen to people eventually. Story 6. The importance of being clear and direct about your needs and being able to walk away from someone who is repeatedly choosing not to meet your needs. No, the basic needs of a relationship, consistent, clear communication, showing up for your partner, showing affection, and making them feel loved, don't need to be pruned down because they can't or won't do them. Don't be like me and think, well, they were meeting those needs in the beginning of the relationship, and they aren't anymore, but I know they can because they did so. I'll just be patient. If it's been brought to their attention and things aren't changing, it's time for you to step out. Don't fall in love with someone's past self. It will only make you blind to their present self. Story 7. How to function alone and depend on myself for everything. She refused any sort of emotional support. I wasn't allowed to call her aside from at very specific times during specific situations. She was seldom with me. I'm now totally emotionally independent, and although I always enjoyed my own company, I now enjoy it not as a bonus to being apart, but as a totally contained aspect. Sad lesson, but I'm better off for it. Story 8. Continue to live my own life. I ruined all my friendships and did not get those friends back after dating 2 different controlling and isolating partners back to back. They wouldn't let me go anywhere or spend time with people that were not them. Ugh. Not ironically at all, it was my first BF from 16, 20, and then my first husband from 21, 25. Story 9. The fruits of the relationship will reflect the worst of each partner, not their best. If you are healed and secure but the other person is not, they will still sink the ship and blame you. Get to the core of who someone is before partnering. Respect any hesitation you have. Never rush your pace for anyone. You won't miss a thing. If they give a hint of refusing to know themselves or the world on a deep level, for example, superficial self-image or values, run, run, run. They will destroy you trying to hide the slip of their many masks. This is a glass house built with a glass person, and the shattering can cut you. Story 10. Be honest. Honesty doesn't have to be rude or mean. If your partner friend does things that annoy or anger you, tell them respectfully. They may not realize that it bothers you and will be willing to change the behavior. Resentment will kill any relationship over time. If someone can't accept they may be wrong at times and need to adjust or apologize, then that's a red flag. 48-hour rule. It's related no #1. If someone does something to upset or anger you, take time to cool down, but you have a short amount of time to address it or let it go forever. No one wants to hear how they did all these things 4 years ago, and you were so hurt by them and have been nursing these hurts for years. It's a red flag when people dredge up old things and fight about it. Obviously, repeating actions that you thought were addressed shows they don't value the honesty and open communication. And I'm talking about more minor things like forgetting an anniversary, doing dishes, or not being supportive enough. Serious harms like assault or violence have no limit to address them. Story 11. It doesn't matter if you think they're your soulmate if they don't think you're theirs. Dated a girl for a year who I thought checked all the boxes. Everything seemed so right with her. Thought for sure I would marry her someday. Turns out, she didn't really agree, which by extension also means I was just totally wrong in thinking she was my soulmate. And that's lesson #2. They weren't actually your soulmate if they didn't also consider you theirs. Story 12. Don't provide commitment. Don't provide financial support. Don't try to change yourself or your hobbies to make them happy. Don't let them cross boundaries, leaving belongings at your place, expectations, etc. I learned a lot once I realized that having a successful marriage family is statistically improbable. Acknowledging this reality and accepting relationships for what they are has made me much happier in all aspects of life. Story 13. I learned how to finally pick myself. There's no issues upholding the boundaries you've set with yourself. If you told yourself you won't put up with XYZ or entertain certain toxic behaviors/traits, and you stand your ground on it, there's nothing wrong with that. Always better to be true to yourself than to lose yourself in someone else. Story 14. That you can't build a relationship based on mutual support. People gotta take care of their own. Sometimes you need help and you should be able to lean on your partner and vice versa, but it's not the basis for a relationship. Great relationships are when 2 people enjoy and share their own lives together, not when 2 people use each other to deal with their own problems, to an extent in my opinion. Story 15. That when you really love someone, sometimes that love is not enough. You have to let people go so they can find actual happiness. Love will make you ignore the truth, the reality. There are a lot of things that show in someone's actions, even if they don't say them. If you really love someone, you'll let them go so they can be happy, so they can find what's meant for them. Not gonna lie, seeing them be happy can hurt your ego. It can hurt your soul. But clarity is knowing that you have always wanted what's best for them, even if it wasn't you. I can think of so many Thai things done to me. It probably should make me angry. At one point, many years before the end, it did, but there is no anger in my heart. Just love, the same that was always there. Hard to know where love ends and pain begins. All there is to know is that it wasn't truish love. It wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. Story 16. People treat you the way you allow them to. There was a guy I had a ridiculous crush on when I was young, and one night he was so mean to me. I was crying and he was drunk. He asked me what was wrong, and I finally said I didn't understand why he was so mean to me sometimes. He responded with, "Do you know why I treat you the way I do? Because you let me." That was the kindest thing he ever said to me, and pretty much the last time I spoke to him. Story 17. If she wanted to, they would. If your partner wanted something as much as you do, they'd do what it takes to make it happen. Not avoid discussions, make excuses, or gaslight. Also connected, if you're over, say, age 23 and know you absolutely do or do not want something in your life down the line, marriage, children, to live in a certain place, Have that discussion within the first few dates. If you don't have the same life goals or same timelines, they are not your person, no matter how wonderful they are. Don't get involved in their friends, their lives, their families. It just makes breaking up so much harder and more painful.